But pi is actually kind of interesting, and I was always intrigued with it when I was a kid, because it's like, how can a number never end? That's blowing my mind.
I thought you were talking about the fruit pies.
They do it.
Well, we know about you and pi. It's a love affair. All right, so this is a little thing I prepared, why we celebrate Pi Day. And I basically Googled a bunch of stuff about Pi Day and stuck it together. So what is Pi Day? The word pie, P-I, sounds like pie, P-I-E, which is delicious. Who doesn't love pie? So it's a great excuse to celebrate math and science while also chowing down on pie. Not only that, pies are round, and the mathematical concept of pi is all about circles. So you all probably know that the mathematical constant pi is used to calculate the area of a circle. And it's, you know, it's a really easy thing. Where's my circle? Here's my circle.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so to get pi, you measure the outside of the circle and divide it by the diameter. And it doesn't matter what size circle, it always comes out the same. 3.12, blah, 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 blah.
1-4.
Coincidence. Those pies are circles.
Oh, yes, and pies are circles, and that's another, you know, reason why we eat pie on Pi Day. So that's kind of an amazing thing, a mathematical constant. It, you know, and the crazy thing about pi, as I mentioned before, is it doesn't stop at 3.14. It goes on forever. The other really interesting thing about pi is it doesn't repeat itself in any sort of pattern that mathematicians have ever been able to determine. So it's really kind of fascinating that way. And they've actually calculated it out to trillions of places now.
Wow.
Trillions. Crazy. So, of course, that's what is called an irrational number.
We all like it to be rational.
And
Coffee with that.
and it's actually very old, which is interesting. But before I get that, I want to tell you a little bit about the history of Pi Day, which is also kind of interesting. So Pi Day was not a thing until 1988. There was a physicist and artist named Larry Shaw, who worked for the Exploratorium in San Francisco, and he came up with the idea of celebrating pi on March 14th. So he used to lead a little parade around the Exploratorium for Pi Day, and he was known as the Prince of Pi. And if you go to the Wikipedia page, there's a picture of him, and he looked like he was an interesting guy, and he passed away last year.
So we'll have some pie in his honor.
So we're having pie at Larry Shaw's.
Everybody have another piece.
Anyway, so Pi Day was actually recognized as a national holiday in 2009.
Really?
Yeah.
So you can take the day off.
I don't think it's that kind of national holiday.
Yeah.
So of course, it's represented by a lowercase Greek letter, which is that funny symbol. And it's the first letter of a Greek word that means perimeter. So that makes sense, right?
Okay.
The first calculation of pi was done by Archimedes, and it's also been used by different cultures throughout history. The ancient Babylonians and Egyptians used approximations for pi when calculating the area of a circle. There's also a Chinese mathematician who created his own ratio that approximated pi in much the way Archimedes did. So why is pi so important, you ask?
Why is pie so important, Kathy?
Why are circles important?
Well, so the calculation is used in a lot of different arenas, you know, engineering, architecture. It also, I didn't get a lot of explanation from the one website I went to, but it's also something to do with GPS. radio, TV, telephones, power generation, and motors. And I wish I could tell you more about that, but I ran out of time to research it. Time Magazine interviewed a guy who wrote a book called The Joy of Pie. His name is David Blattner, and he had this to say about pie a few years back. What's interesting about pie is that it's technically irrational and transcendental. The exact digits of pi cannot ever truly be known. There's no way for us to figure out what pi is, and that's kind of an odd and curious thing for science. The idea that something so simple should unfold in something that is unknowable is baffling. So, as we eat our pie on Pi Day, please take a moment to think about the fact that although science teaches us so much and allows us to discover our world and our universe, there's still many mysteries that are yet to be solved. And perhaps there are some secrets that never will be solved.
That was wonderful. Yay!
Is pi is known and computed?
Oh, what is gender?
So if you're using pi to determine a random selection,
There used to be two.
and someone knows